Namo Narayanaya, Om 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahano Bonaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavaim, Tejasvinavaditamastu, Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace Peace. Om Bolo Satguru Shivananda Maharaj Ki Jai. Swami Vishnu Devananda Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namah Shivaya. Is there more light? Krishna. So we're going to continue with the teachings on Vedanta. So what we discussed is that due to ignorance, just like the space which is limitless is perceived as being limited, in the same way, because we are ignorant of the true nature of the self, the I am, the knower, we appear to be limited within the body and the mind. And then it seems that we are what we call a subject or an experiencer, knowing things external to us, okay, and therefore conditioned by them. So because we perceive ourselves to be a subject, an individual knower, an experiencer, experiencing objects which are separate, we are conditioned by them because they are external to us. Then Swami Shivananda explains what is this. You say, what, if you think about it, what is misery? Right? Misery yogis call samsara. But what is this misery of samsara? The yogis say, also in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains, the misery of samsara is something which is called the bondage of karma. What is bondage of karma? As we explained, the yogis teach that the experiences that we go through in our life, in our mind, in our body, as external relationship, events, etc., are the products of what the yogis call prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma means the fruits of our past actions, manifesting as present life experiences. That's basically what prarabdha karma means. So, as you saw social Europe, we are actually going through results of things we have done in the past, mostly not in this body, in previous bodies. Then, this, as we mentioned, this prarabdha karma, because it is the results of good and negative deeds, that's a given. It is said that in order to have a human body, you must have a pretty much even balance of positive and negative karma. That's the only way you can have a human body, because the human body lives in this world. And what is the nature of this world? This world is a world of experiencing both pleasure and pain in pretty much, for most people, pretty much even way. So then, the nature of experience the yogis teach is something which is called the pairs of opposites. This is how karma manifests. What are the pairs of opposites? Pleasure and pain, success and failure, gain and loss, victory and defeat, honor and dishonor, etc., etc., etc. These are called the pairs of opposites. They are totally natural in creation. They are unavoidable. So our mind will manifest the pairs of opposites in the form of thoughts and emotions. Elevated, pleasurable emotions and painful ones. Our body will manifest pleasurable experiences and painful experiences. We are going to encounter in our life conducive relationships and painful relationships. We are going to experience desirable events and undesirable events, and that's a given. It's natural, unavoidable. That's the meaning of karma. So that's not, see, this is karma. This is not the bondage of karma. What is the bondage of karma? The bondage of karma is what is called raga and dvesha, or attractions and aversions. Meaning, although pleasure and pain are natural, the pairs of opposites are natural in creation, we have a very powerful addiction to pleasure and a very powerful aversion to pain. We cannot stand any form of pain in the form of pain or failure or loss or censor or dishonor and all those things. They produce very powerful aversion or pain in us. Whereas when we experience pleasure or success or gain or honor, etc., the mind becomes very powerfully glued to it. It moves very powerful to it. The mind is fascinated with pleasurable things. It's addicted very, very powerfully. So this is called raga and dvesha. Now what's the problem? The problem is that although the mind is addicted and tries to hold on to pleasure, it's fleeting. It comes for a moment, it goes away. Okay? And although the mind tries to push away pain as much as possible, it comes. So therefore, you see, so what is the bondage of karma? Bondage of karma is having an unrealistic relationship with the world based on attractions and aversions. We have an expectancy that the world is going to operate according to our expectations and desires. Pleasurable things should stay and painful things should go away. But it doesn't go like this because we are experiencing karma. And karma will definitely have both. Okay? So the bondage of karma is that the natural pairs of opposites manifesting in our mind, body, and world trigger attractions and aversions in us. That's called the bondage of karma. Okay, so we cannot let go of the pleasures which come and go very quickly. Although they come and go very quickly, they leave a very strong attachment in us. Right? In our language, we try to beautify it. We call it nostalgia. right? But nostalgia means your mind is lost in the past. That's all it means, you see? So it's nothing but the mind is reveling in its own attachments, okay? And so this is the point. The point is that the misery that every human being experiences, which is totally natural and universal, which is called by the yogis samsara, is the bondage of karma or the bondage to experience, which comes from the fact that we perceive ourselves to be limited by what we experience. Okay? So now the question is, how do we the yogis call it, how do we neutralize samsara? Right? That's because yoga, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that yoga is the severance from union with pain. If you look at it at the moment, you are united with pain. Okay? Which means you don't want to suffer. No one wants to suffer. In spite of yourself, you are united to pain, or pain is united to you. Okay? Which means wherever you go, pain is following you. Okay? This is the idea. So, what is yoga? Yoga is the severance of the union with pain. But the question is, how is it done? So, can we remove the natural pairs of opposites from the world? Is it possible? Can you remove the pairs of opposites from how the world operates? Impossible. We know it. Can you remove the pairs of opposites from your own body and mind? The yogis say definitely not. It's not possible. They are where you are experiencing karma. It's unavoidable. Okay? So, what to do? Right? So the yogis say, let's read again what we have been reading from. So it says, it says, it is this saving knowledge. We will see which knowledge. From what is the knowledge saving us? Samsara. The knowledge is saving us from misery. It is this saving knowledge that can raise us above from the erroneous notion that the objects of sense are real in themselves, that they are either desirable or undesirable, and that happiness is in the contents of the world. So this samsara has to do with the notion that the objects of the world are independently real, and they have a desirable or undesirable feature in them. You understand? When we look at a cake and we think that the cake is desirable, we think the happiness is in the cake. Why do you desire a cake? Because there is happiness in it. You understand? When we think like this, we are in samsara. We are in the mode of suffering. Suffering is unavoidable. If we see the objects in this way, the desirability and the undesirability of the objects are in the objects. They are the causes of happiness and they are the causes of pain. We are in samsara. Okay? There's no way to remove it. Because we have this, what is called in Vedanta, we have this spiritual cataract by which we see the world in this way. Okay? So what is this saving knowledge? So it says, devotion to God knowledge of reality alone is the way to moksha or liberation. Liberation from what? Liberation from samsara. Liberation from the misery of life, the bondage of karma. That's liberation. The world will continue as it does. The mind and the body will continue as they do. But we will be free from the from the apparent bondage that is there. And the yogis say it is an erroneous notion that comes because we think we are the space in the bottle. I am Swami Brahmananda. Where is Swami Brahmananda? It's in this bottle. This is a bottle. You see? It even looks very similar to this one. You see? And right, and just like the space is in the bottle, right, somehow, I don't know how I got in, but somehow I find myself in the bottle. You understand? So there is no one in the bottle. Just like there is no space in the bottle, the I am is never in the bottle. You are not in the body. Okay? That's the idea. It's a false perception called ignorance. Okay? So the I am that we know is infinite. It's limitless in this very moment. So now this teaching says devotion to God or knowledge of reality will free us from samsara. These are the ways to neutralize this bondage of karma or the bondage to the experience of the pairs of opposites. You understand? The pairs of opposites are unavoidable. We experience the objects outside. Therefore, we are bound by them. Okay? We are bound by those experiences. Okay? So, this is the idea. Now, what is devotion to God? So, devotion to God is a means to neutralize the bondage of karma. Let's read from Swami Shivananda. In the chapter on God, he explains what it is. Listen carefully, because Swami Shivananda is explaining how to neutralize the bondage in life, the misery in life. Okay? Everything is God. Okay? What he describes here now is devotion to God. It's called also self-surrender. Surrendering to God. Everything is God. Good is God. Misfortune is God. Greet Him in everything and rest peacefully in bliss. Okay, so what Swami Shivananda says, he says everything you perceive, including the one that perceives, is God. Everything is that God. What is the nature of God? Bliss. Absolute happiness. God is described as an ocean of love or bliss. So Swami Shivananda says everything is God. All the names and forms we perceive, including the name and form that we call the perceiver, is that God. These are like waves in the ocean. They have no independent reality from the ocean. And then he says good is God. So the pleasant is God. Success is God. Gain is God. Okay? Honor is God. Happiness is God. And then he says misfortune is God. Pain is God. Failure is God. Dishonor is God. Loss is God. Afflictions are God. depression is God. These are all forms of the One. This is called surrender. Surrender means accept that everything comes from the will of God. Then you are not going to be in confrontation with what is coming to you in life. You will not be resentful. You will accept that this is coming from the will of God, and you will surrender. Because the infinite reality is coming to you in these names and forms. This is called devotion to God. Swami Brahmananda explains. We are surrendering. We learn to trust the divine will, which is infinite. And the divine will always has our good. Always. Whatever it brings is for good. For the ultimate good. That's the meaning. It doesn't mean that we should be passive. Right? So, for example, if you become sick, it doesn't mean that you should say, oh, this is the grace of God. It's true. It is coming from God. God is the one that brings the karma into your life. But the yogis say God also gave us our intelligence. It's also God-given. Intelligence tells you what to do when you are sick. This is also God. You understand? So we need to understand how it works. Okay, so the point is, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, a famous modern yogic saint, he said, everything is God, but do not hug tigers. Okay? It's true that everything is God, but creation operates by certain laws. You see? And God manifests, for example, in a tiger as a tiger. It doesn't mean that if you will see the divine nature in the tiger, it will do namaste to you. You see? If you come too close to the God tiger, it will eat your head off right away. You see? And that's God. God in the tiger manifests as the tiger nature. That's called truth. It's the truth embodied in a tiger. Do you understand? Manifesting as the tiger nature. Okay, so the fact that we recognize God in everything doesn't mean that everything becomes sweet. Swami Brahmananda said, if you expect God to come to you only with a flute, like Lord Krishna, and a big smile, you will never see God. He said, God can come to you in any way. See? Not only that God can come, God will come. You see, in the ocean, God comes as a shark. Like this. Okay, so this is the point. So, what is devotion to God? Accept everything as coming from the divine will. Surrender to it. Swami Brahmananda says, you will live in peace and bliss. You will be free. You will neutralize the raga and the dvesha, the bondage to experience, by recognizing that it's all the manifestation of God or the divine will. This is called devotion. What is knowledge of reality? Knowledge of reality is another way to neutralize the pairs of opposites, the bondage of karma. So, you see, for example, we said the body exists, right? How do I know my own existence? I know it as I am. I am means I exist. How do I know your existence? You are. How do I know its existence, it is. Now comes the question. The body exists, definitely. But the point is like this. The existence that is in the body, as the body changes all the time. Moment by moment the body is changing, constantly changing. Okay? So the question is the reality of the body. While the body changes, is the reality, the isness, changing also? Is the reality underlying the body, the isness, changing? Right? So for example, now the body is, right? Now I ate dinner. Now the body a little more is, right? So the body changed, but is the isness changed also? Do I have more isness now? See, because my body grew, right? I ate. Let's say I even ate a lot, right? So now, is the existence in my body bigger? Is the existence young or old? What is it? Is it big or small? Thin or fat? What is it? When you are in Europe, do you have a European existence? And then as you go to the US, it becomes somewhere in between. It becomes an American existence. So is existence, the isness, changing as the body changes? No. At any given moment, the body is. You understand? Doesn't matter how it is, it is. What about the mind? The mind is changing so rapidly. At any given moment, the mind is. You know it, it is. You understand? The reality underlying the mind, is it changing? Is the underlying reality of the mind changing? The mind is changing. Is the underlying isness changing? No. At any given moment, it is. You understand? That isness is a changeless reality. You understand? What about the world? The world of names and forms, is it changing? Constantly changing. Everything is changing. But you see, do you see that the world exists? Do you see that all the objects in the world exist? Do you see this? Everything is, right? It is, it is, it is, it is. Everything is. The isness that pervades everything, is it changing? No. It is ever the same. So what the yogis teach is that there is a changeless reality which manifests in us as the I am, the self. It's infinite. It's a changeless, unconditioned reality. It's unconditioned by anything. See, pleasure is. Pain is. You understand? Is pleasure existing more than pain? Is pain existing less than pleasure? More? No. You understand? It just is. So the existence underlying everything is changeless and totally independent, untouched. You understand? It's untouched by anything. And this is the self. So, if we identify with the underlying reality, you see, there is a question. The awareness that you are, because you are aware, everyone knows that he or she is aware. You are aware. The question is the awareness changing or not changing? The awareness that you are, is it changing or not changing? It changes? Let's say you say it changes. You say, I notice that the awareness changes. Right? Who notices the change in the awareness? You understand? All changes are of the nature of being known to you. That's how you know that there are changes. There are changes in your mind. You are aware of it. It's not you. You are the knower. Changes are known to you. They are objects. What about the body? The body changes. You are aware of it. You understand? Changes are never in the knower. You understand? The knowing awareness is absolutely changeless. Is this clear? So if we learn to abide in the changeless reality which we are, then the changing appearances of the world, as thoughts, emotions, changes of the body, changes of the world, can never touch us. That's called knowledge. Knowledge of reality means I am the reality. That's the meaning. The self is the reality. Okay? It's not where I am not in the mind. I am not in the body. There is no happy I am. There is no sad I am. There is no young I am. There is no old I am. I am is the infinite independent reality. This is called knowledge of reality. If we know it, then all the changes in the mind, the body, and the world can never touch us. You understand? They can touch us only because we identify with the limitations of the mind and the body. That's all. That's why they can apparently touch us. Okay? So therefore it says that either by devotion to God, knowing everything as God and coming from God and surrendering, or knowledge of reality, we can become free from the bondage of samsara, or the bondage to experience of the pairs of opposites, which is samsara. That's what samsara is. Samsara is our attractions and aversions towards the pairs of opposites, which are unavoidable. Okay? So either by devotion to God or by knowledge, we neutralize the binding nature of experience. This is called freedom. Okay? So here we conclude.